Yeah, I thought I'd make this video because like it's just an explanation. I thought of this before, and I put that thing on there about my certificates and all the stuff and my awards and everything I got. So like I'll start from like I went to Aloma Elementary School, and we didn't have track, but we had like field day racing and stuff like that. In the 100-yard dash, I came in first out of the whole school. Um, Everybody was pissed at me, of course, and it was like I was put in, after the first a couple of years and stuff. By the time when I got to like sixth grade, they put me in remedial classes because they thought I was dumb. And then it was like, not even 3 months later, they put me in special ed, you know, classes. And it was weird to me because, like, I didn't fit in with them. They were, like, the guys and girls with the glasses and shit, and, like, just, like, the geeks, and I wanted to be with the regular kids. I'm nothing special. I'm smart. I can't help it. I was born that way. So, so what they did was they put me in with the regular kids and back in with them and everything, and they put me in EL, which is accelerated learning. So like I was getting stuff from like a year ahead of all the other kids, but they didn't know it. So special education. I was able to blend in with them and go to lunch with them and everything, and that's where I got a lot of my friendships and stuff. And then in junior high, same thing happened, and just it was a pain in the ass. And I got that. And high school was like incredibly fun. I mean, the most the craziest shit you could think of. I think it was 10th grade. There was only 255 days of school, and I skipped 211 days. The truant officer went to my house and talked to my mother and all kinds of shit, and I got in big trouble. But everybody hated me because towards the end of the year, when everybody took the finals and shit, I caught up with everything and got out of there, with a B. And everybody was fucking mad at me. They said, this guy, he doesn't blend in with anybody. He's this and that. He skipped almost all fucking year, and he still graduated. So I went on to 11th grade and 12th grade. But like I was just hated because like I don't know, maybe they were envious or they were just mad because they had to put in the work and stuff, and I just didn't. I could skip school and do this and just somehow come out with A's anyway. And we'd come off a bender. It's like we'd skip for like 2 weeks or something. Go to the mall, anywhere but school. And I did that with a couple of friends and stuff. And they got left behind and they got bad grades and all this shit. And but I didn't, and they were cool with that. So like one of them was Mark Vigilius, and the other one was Joe Sandroni. And that was a long time ago. Those guys are probably in the same age as me. They're in their 50s now, late 50s. Well, probably like 55 because I'm 60. So like, and I've always been a little older than everybody else. And the same thing happened to me in college. I went to college and stuff. After I went in the Army the first time as an MP, and I did like the 3-year program and stuff because I had a high score in my ASVAB test. I passed everything except one question, and it had to do, and they circled that one, and it was a mathematical question, and it had to do with artillery. So I'm not qualified for artillery, which like I had planned on going that, and I really didn't even know about that shit. So, but college was like the same way. I'm going to school to be an LPN, and the 2 years 24 months. And like, I think it was 14 or 15 months later, I'm done. You know, and everybody's like, what the what's so special about it? You know, and that's how I met some people too. And I told them, I says, you know, I can't tell you if I'm smart or just, I don't know, worldly or just in the know about shit. I have no idea. But I do have a high IQ and everything. But I was always told you're an underachiever. You don't apply yourself. You could be much better. And I really never really wanted to because I wanted to fit in with the other kids. You know, I went to school with certain kids and grew up with them, and I didn't want to be different. You know, just because I'm smarter than them, which I don't know why or how. I was always just very aware of things and sort of like a photographic memory, I guess. I guess that's what helped me a lot because, like, I could hear things on the radio or see things on TV and just assimilate them and never forget them. To this day, I can still remember all that shit. My head's fucking crowded as hell. I always thought it was going to explode in the army, you know? But, and like when I was younger, being a drummer, you know, I had a band and I was the drummer and the name of the band was Prowler. You know, and it was named back then. There was a car from Dodge that was called the Dodge Prowler, you know, shit like that. So that was like, you know, in the 70s and early 80s. And before I went in the military and got married and shit. And I learned the drums so well. I mean, like here, my parents bought me a drum set because you know, I went to one of those things where you go in there and they check what instrument. And I just, you know, I even told the guy is supposed to be, you know, a musical genius and all. I told him, I says, well, no, I think you're wrong because, you know, they picked the viola for me. I was like, the viola is like boring as shit. You know, I want something fast paced and something where you learn and count and, you know, syncopation. So eventually, you know, they said, you know, I did a lot of things. The viola, the violin, the cello, you know, the piano and you know, a lot of things, and the guitar and just, you know, I got the hang of them, you know, real quick, and they just, you know, looked at me like, you know, the fuck is wrong with this kid? And eventually, someone put it together. You know, it's like, I got it, the drums, and I didn't really know about those, or you know, I was like, you mean the guy who sits in back of a band, you don't even really see him, or you know what the fuck he's doing, or and they really get no recognition and shit. And you know, I was kind of turned off by that. But then after a while, I said, you know, and then they explained it to me. You learn rudiments and different roles and timing and syncopation and all this stuff, hand-eye coordination. Use your feet, you know, everything, you know, and all your senses. And I was like, you know, that sounds perfect. That's me. That's what I want. So I tried it and poof, fucking genius at it. My first day playing the drums, I'm no stupid kid. I'm like fucking Neil Peart of Rush. You know? I'm like, and the rudiments, you know, 26 of them. Well, you know, I did all them plus invented a few. You know, one of them is not the triplet roll, but now it is because of me. You know, the double stroke roll is, you know, two on the right hand, two on the left, and you just keep going. And, well, the triplet roll is two with one hand and one with one hand. And, you know, it just comes out neat. And then breaking them up and all this stuff and different drums and everything. I was just, that was me. You know, I was like, damn. and the feet at the same time, and all, you know. And I always played like double and triple bass, and people were like, you know, how the fuck does he do that with his feet? You know, when I played like songs like Barracuda. Barracuda is single bass, but you move that one foot real fucking quick. You know, it's a 3-2 beat, 3 with the foot and 2 with your hand, and it's fucking crazy, and not many people can do it. I had no problem with it. People, you know, that's why when we first starting out, we covered with that, and we actually, you know, sounded good. Oh, even better than the original, and like, you know, and really without even trying. The worst part that I had was like, you know, when you'd go to a party or someplace, a bar or something, a club or whatever, to play, you'd have to set up your equipment and tune and shit, and like that part just bummed me out, you know. And it's like, no, only the rich guys get that, somebody to set up and tune their drums and shit for them before they play. So I was like, you know, okay, well, whatever, you know. So I just learned to set up the drums real quick, and you know, you just check them. Fuck the tuning, man. You know, it's like, you know, just you like a jazz improvisation. You just play. I mean, you know, they've got some drums that ring a lot, and you know, so, and then some that are, you know, sound deadening devices, and you know, and I just played that way instead of like tuning and going through all that trouble and shit, and you know, so that helped a lot. And I still had to set up, you know, but setup was quick and easy. Was no big thrill, but you know, like I said, you know, the rich guys, the bands that make it and stuff, you know, they got somebody to tune the drums for them and set them up, and you know, at the next place, and, you know. But we were just like garages and clubs and little parties and shit. And that's really it. After high school, I didn't really play a lot because I went in the military and I had other goals set and to do things, and just kind of like was trying to get into the drums, but I was approached by several different people with famous bands, and it was like, you know, and my mother and father got together, and I was approached by uh, they were Jefferson Airplane back then, and then now they're Jefferson Starship. I was approached by them to be their drummer. I was approached by Pink Floyd. I was approached by the Romantics, but like the one thing I couldn't do was play the drums and sing at the same time, and that's really what they were looking for. And they found that, and the guy's great. And even to me, that was perplexing. It's like, how can you count beats and syncopation and all that shit while you're playing with your hands and your feet, and you sing at the same time? What the fuck? I can't do that, and plus I can't sing anyway. So, but I was amazed. He played the drums and did great solos and all kinds of shit, and sang at the same time. It's like, how the hell do you do that? Here I am. I'm smart, and, you know, and everybody's like, you know, and you can't do that? No, I have no clue. You know, and it was really stupid. I got all this stuff for balance and coordination and speed and playing the drums and everything. But I was the type of guy who could trip over a fucking speed bump and couldn't chew gum and walk at the same time. You know, I don't know where that came from. I guess it's the mind. I don't know. Crammed with too much shit. I have no idea. But most people resented me because, you know, I did everything, you know, got away with it. In their eyes, got away with everything. I still had to do the work and all that shit. I just remembered things a lot easier than other people. You know, I could listen to the radio and pick out a popular band and just listen to the song, and within 3 minutes copy the fucking thing like a pro, better than they did it or the same. And that was just me. Nothing special. It just happened, you know. And I was and people hated that. You know, it's like, oh, well, I'm sorry, I'm lucky, I'm gifted in that way. It's like, can't help it. I just, you know. And the funny thing is nobody in my family is musical or anything. None of them. It's like, and I got all this, and they're not real super smart, and they're street smart. Like my older brother was like super, you know, he knew, he was aware of things and knew how to do things, and like street smart. And my other brother, you know, same thing, but he didn't apply himself, even worse so than I did. You know, I skipped and fucked up, but I caught up and did really good. And, you know, he didn't. He would just skip and fuck up and just not apply himself and screw it, you know, and he wound up a Navy SEAL. You know, huh? But so, and I wound up in special forces, and my older brother owned his own construction company, and that was it. You know, it was like, and it was really difficult growing up because I wanted to fit in with certain people, and it was difficult. And you know, it's like a geek, you know, a geek in stoner's clothing. You know, I tried to fit in and did with the people that were like hippies, like free, and you know, let's skip class and smoke dope, and I didn't indulge in any of that shit, but you know, I hung with that kind of crowd. You know, it's like you'd go into class and see the stoners and shit like sleeping on the desk during class. So I did that too, but they would get mad because they would fail the test and I would pass it. You know? And they were fairly cool with it because you know they'd be like, you know, how'd you fucking do that, man? You know, and it's like I don't know. I mean, I skipped with you and slept on the desk and shit like that, just like you, and I fucking passed, man. I guess it went in my ears while I was, you know, sleeping on the desk, and I just didn't forget it. And, you know, what the hell? My brain works differently than yours, and this was amazing. I found out like the type of learning that I do. They studied this and they watched real careful and all this shit, and they tried and figured out why I was, you know, the way I was for the most part. I learned things in a totally different way. Like you could give me directions how to do a brake job in a car, and I can't do it. I get lost. Like, you know, what what the fuck? What, take apart that, you know, part A, I can't put together shit. You know, it's like put slot A in what, huh? I have no idea. But if I see somebody doing that, putting something together or doing a brake job, I'm a pro. When I was 13 years old, my father did the brakes, and I had remembered that, and you know, I watched him, and when it was, I got older and everything in my car, you know, brakes, shit, they're talking $200 or $300 to fix that, you know, and it'll take them like 3 hours and shit. I can do that in fucking all four wheels in an hour, and it would probably cut. And so I did. I had a car at the time, and the actual cost was like $13 a wheel, and the whole job took me less than an hour. You know, and just perfect. I remembered it, and it's like, you know, a lot of my friends, some of my friends were with me, and how do you do that shit? It's like I really have no idea. You know, I know what I've seen and I know what I'm doing, but like I can't relate it. You know, it works. So they figured out this guy learns differently. He's not book smart, but then again, if he sees this stuff, poof, he's a genius at it. He'll never forget it. And that's the way I was, and lots of people resented that and shit. And I told them it's like, it's not my fault. I just learned totally different, and it works a lot better, at least for me. That's the kind of person I am. Like in the military, that's why I fit in so well and did so well at it, because like you go to sniper school and they explain everything and you read about everything, but they show you how to do this stuff. And that's where I learned, because the books and explaining and shit like that, and it's like, no man, I got to see it. And they did. You went through it. They treated everybody like they were fucking stupid and they were dumbass little babies and shit. They would take the book and say that, I read this is what this means, and they would take the rifle and do, and it's like, okay, I can do that. I don't know the book. I didn't know what the fuck they were talking about in the book and shit. So that's why it worked so well, because that's the way the Army was. I don't know if it is now, but they'll tell you something and you'll read about something, but they'll still show you all that stuff. They'll teach you on the job training how to actually do the job. So I was a genius at it. I was great. It's like, how to be a sniper. Everybody else in sniper school, sniper school's like, several months. I'm basically done with all the shit in a few weeks. Just going through the class and going through the motions and taking the time. Because the military is not like, they're not going to graduate you early. They're going to make you, make sure that you know this shit. So you're going to watch it and try it and do it and read it over and over until, So I thought that was great, So you're not ahead of your class. You're just like everybody else, and you blend with everybody else. I liked that. It worked. It worked really well for me. When I finally got to my unit and stuff like that, it's like, perfect. I mean, I know all this shit, and I can, and my buddies know all this shit, and we're all equal. We're all, I'm not special. I'm just the leader, a lieutenant of the group, and it just, that worked out. I liked that much. In that respect, I liked. I didn't like the fact that, like, you salute an officer, and, like, the only reason why you gotta respect him could be because of military courtesies and customs. And I just didn't agree with it. I had heard my father talk about, like, Korea. He was in Korean War, and he was airborne infantry, and he was a ranger, what they called a raider back then. And he used to get mad at these higher ups that thought they were big shit and telling you what to do and stuff, and you were supposed to respect that. Well, he didn't really go for that shit. It's like he got in a lot of trouble, and so did I in the fucking military for that stuff. I was the first one. I think it was a second lieutenant or a captain, and I walked right past him, and it was a female, and she stopped. She said, "Aren't you gonna salute me?" I says, "No, why?" And she just like chewed my ass out right in front of her. But it was like, the fuck did I do, And they all saluted her and shit, and I just, what the fuck is wrong with them, man? So what? She's got more rank than me. Who gives a shit? I know my job better, and like if we were in combat together and she rolled up her sleeves and shit and jumped in with me, and I knew her, and then I could respect her and shit. But I don't know her. She could sit behind a desk, and she's only a second lieutenant because she went to fucking college for a year more than I did. Big shit. That's the same thing. I couldn't understand why you gotta polish your brass and polish your boots and press your uniform and all that shit. And it's like, why? I'm being sent to a foreign country to kill people, and they hate me there. They're out to kill me. Why the fuck do I got it? Because you represent the United States. And do you think I fucking care? Do you think they fucking care? They just want to kill me. They don't give a shit what country he's from. They're not going to ask before they fucking blow me away. And they're not going to care if they shoot me in the forehead and I'm bleeding all over my nicely pressed uniform and shiny boots. They don't fucking give a shit, so why should I? And I had a lot of trouble with that in the military, but finally they just left us alone. That group of guys, the special ops, yeah, fuck them, man. They don't conform to shit. Just leave them alone. And everybody left us alone. The only time we really had to do that was like when you were on a base or something. You had to kind of, military courtesies and customs. But the rest of the time, I just like, fuck it. You're just like me. The sergeant's just like me, except I went to college. He did. Big shit. He still does the same things I do. Big fucking deal. I mean, So it was one of those deals, and that's how my life got, in a way, so good. It's like I had lots of tragedies and shit along the way, but in respect, I lived through it. I did really well at it, and I'm alive. It's like, it's okay. I'm crippled and shit like that from it, but you have to you give your all and you get a little back, and just the fact that you got your life is, you've got a disease and stuff that's inconvenient, but you're still alive, and you get retirement and Social Security and everything's cool, and so it's a trade-off. It's like, before you were scared to death. You're gonna not be retired, you're gonna be one of those old guys, old security guards, falling asleep with gray hair and shit in a fucking bank, and be like Barney Fife and have one round in your pocket and shit. And you'll be working right up until the day you die. There won't be no retirement. And I always thought, yeah, but what if things happen to you and you can't work anymore, and who takes care of you? What do? You just suffer and die and just hope someone in your family or a good friend takes care of you. But, how often does that happen? How many times do you go to foreign countries and they don't generally take care of people, and you see them dragging themselves along the street because their legs don't work or some shit? They just get by. They suffer like hell, but they fucking get by. I was scared of that, and I didn't want to be like that. So things turned out good for me. In spite of everything else, some things turned out really well for me. But with some pain in the ass bullshit and consequences, which I'm okay with that. It sucks, but I'm okay with that. It's you get something that's good, you put up with a few bad things with it. I'm fine. I call that even. It would be nice if it was the other way, but I've never been that lucky. That's like I say when the doctors at the VA ask me, are you suicidal? No. I'm fucking angry that I'm like this and shit, but what can I do? And committing suicide would be stupid because I'm so fucking unlucky. I'd commit suicide and then find out the next day that I've got the winning lottery ticket for $30 million. Oh, he killed himself yesterday. That's the kind of luck I've got. So suicide is not even a thought. It's like what I went through and what I do now really sucks, but it could be worse. It has been much worse. And like I said, suicide, no, that would be stupid because I'd do that and my bad luck would shine through, and like the next day when they fucking cremate me and shit, he's got the winning lottery ticket of $30 million in his fucking pocket. and he's dead, and we cremated him. So that's the kind of luck I got. So suicide is off the table. I'm just fucking angry about this shit. That's all. Especially with what's going on in the world today, and it's like, calls my job into question, and lots of things about me and stuff like that. And that doesn't make me happy. But that's the way I grew up, and that's kind of what I wanted to explain. You'd think when I was a kid, I basically had it all. Man, I'm a drummer. I got coordination. I got speed. I got strength, and I win at everything. I'm very smart. But it didn't turn out that way. Things worked out for me because I found out what's best for me, from the help of lots of other people studying shit. Maybe you'd be better off doing this or trying this. This fits your personality and your brain and everything more so than. And I did lots of tests and shit, and it worked. It was like, it was nice. It was like being a drummer. Okay, cool. Being in the army, twice. First time is just a regular MP in the regular army, and the second time in special forces, special operations. And I did good at it, and everything just like worked. I'm happy, Yeah. But during the whole course of that, there were lots of people that fucking just resented the hell out of me, and it's like, there I go with that fucking bad luck shit again. But I did make some friends, and we've all gotten older now, and they're just like, they're still friends, but out of sight, out of mind. They've got things to do and shit like that. But they do call me and come to visit me once in a while, and sometimes I'll get it in my head to go to South Carolina or Maryland and shit, and see some of them, and it's cool, and they don't mind, and I'll call them. I'm on my way, I'll be there tomorrow morning, and they're like, cool, they got time to prepare and shit like that, and it's nice, and but then again, there are people that I grew up with that I liked, and they liked me at first, and then they started to hate this shit. This guy is so lucky. It's like, no, he's not. He's really super unlucky. It's like, the only thing I'm lucky about is like, I lived through that fucking shit, life and special operations, not without being unscathed, but what the fuck? Like I said, I'm alive. And I finally figured out what worked, and it worked at the right time, and it all just came together and cool. And being a drummer, lots of coordination and smarts and timing and all that was great. And I had fun at it, and I wanted to do that for the rest of my life. But at the time, I was too young, when these famous people approached me. And now I think back, God damn, I would have been a rich motherfucker. But I don't know, still, I wouldn't have gotten to do what I really wanted, a little bit of everything and, shit like that. And I was too young. My mother would not let me quit school to be a famous drummer, and I thought at first that sucked, It's like, God, I could have been a fucking rich drummer, man. We're talking about girls and pussy and money and all kinds of shit, but that wasn't me. I just wanted the fame and the fortune, fleetingly, and then do something else. I was always that kind of person who just, I like a variety of shit. I like a variety of different places and different people and doing different things. And, how I got stuck in the military for life, it just worked. It was the perfect thing for me. It fit. I fit. So I did that for the longest, but still, when I was growing up, I did lots of different things and tried lots of different things, and that was interesting, even if they failed. I remember when I guess it was junior high school, I was thinking about being a fireman. That was interesting. Climbing ladders fast, balance and coordination, carrying somebody. But then came the test. And the test is you have to climb up this 200-foot ladder and shit with a dead person that's like 200 and something pounds on your back, and I couldn't do it. I was like, I got, halfway up the ladder and thought, God damn, I'm tired. I can't do this shit. And, guys and girls and shit were just like, oh, how the fuck? Why can't I do that? So much for that career. Which is better off for the other people and, the safety of them. So, okay. It's just like how I got out of the military. I didn't like it, but it's like for the sake of the other people, that I'm in charge of, for their life, okay. And my life too, okay. I'll go. But I thought of that just today, and I just wanted to convey that and put that on here. And it goes along with all those diplomas and shit. And those were only like, half of them. I've got a whole bunch more, but they got lost in the move, man. When I moved, I put things in big bins, and those plastic bins you buy at Walmart and shit. And over the years, some of them I just like kind of lost, and I don't know where the shit is. A bunch of certificates and my medals and all kinds of shit. I just don't. My discharge. I have no idea where that shit is. I've looked for it. I don't have it. It must have gotten given away. I gave a person, a friend of mine, who needed my van when I first moved up here to live in and work and, have something to drive to work, but still live in and shit. So I gave it to him, but one of the boxes was in the back of it, and I didn't think of that until months later. And part of my computer and my printer and all that shit was in there, and it was like, fuck. And I just forgot about it, and I never saw that guy again. He's busy working and shit like that, and hopefully by now he's got a home and shit. But, maybe he likes living in a van. Some people do, These days they do, and they don't have to pay any bills. You don't pay rent, you don't pay electricity, you don't pay water, but you can still get all that shit for free. That would be the perfect life for me, but the health says no. So, that sucks. So that's how things are, and I wish I could show you more certificates and all that shit. I've got pictures of that stuff, but pictures don't do any good, but But that's an explanation about me and about what happened to some things and why I don't commit suicide. I'm just fucking mad about shit. You would be too if you had my life. It's like, damn, anybody else would have been super depressed and killed himself 20 fucking years ago. But not me. Two reasons is, like I said, the unluck part. I die with the winning lottery ticket of $30 million, or the second reason is because I'm a nosy motherfucker. I equate it to you're driving in a car and you're going around a corner and you don't know what's around that corner because you ain't around it yet. But I gotta see what's on the other side, what good or bad. And it's always bad, but still, I just gotta find out. And if I killed myself, I wouldn't find out what the next step in my shitty life is. I could finally live to collect that lottery or something. And things have worked out great for me financially, but it could be better, and it might be. I don't know. I'd rather be alive and around to find out. What can I say? I'm not only was a coordinated, smart guy, I'm fucking nosy as shit. But no, I'm not suicidal. I'm fucking mad as shit about this stuff. And And as I told the doctor, I said, you know, that they asked me that question in the VA in Florida, and the VA in Kentucky, and the VA here. And I'm not suicidal, I'm homicidal. If you ask me any more of these fucking questions, I'm going to kill your ass. Stop asking. And they finally did, you know. Leave the guy alone. There's nothing wrong with him. Outside of he's just like a little depressed, a little angry about shit. But he's so fucking nosy and smart and all this shit. And why did you go this route in life? Yeah, because it worked better. And, you know, so, but that's an explanation, and I hope that satisfies people and why they can't and don't hang around with me. And like, I've had lots of people just like disappear out of my life because wants to hang around with a guy who gets all this shit and he's super smart and doesn't even study and just fucking passes shit. And it's like, I don't know whether they're jealous, envious, or they hate me. I don't know, you know, but that's why. That's my logic, that's my thinking, and I wanted to convey that to everybody else so that they know me. And maybe I was arrogant. I don't know, you know. Now that I'm older, things are working better and people like me more and respect me for who I was and who I really am and shit. And that helps a lot. And they just, you know, we're all older, so they don't care how things transpired and how I am. And they've got their own lives and, you know, they just don't give a shit. Unless I need it or it counts, you know, or which is fine, you know, that's great. It's nice to be helped and liked and respected. You know, you're not respected out of fear. He's a killer. Gotta respect him. He can fly off the handle at any minute, kick your fucking ass. But now they respect me, not out of fear, but for the fact that they know who I am and what I've done, and you know, then they respect that. Thank you for your service. Okay, cool. You know, it makes me happy. I like that. But everything behind it and things that other people don't know, well, now some of you do. And it's been an interesting, weird, like, you know, the old, I found out, like, you hear, I used to hear a lot of, because, like, the clan girls, Asian and stuff like that, their wish for you is, may your life be interesting. Oh, fuck yes. Interesting and crazy. But that's how it's been. And it even persists now that I'm older and retired and shit, which is great. And some things are just a pain in the ass. And I'd like to go on trips and be able to set up things with my car and everything. And it's a pain in the ass, but to me it's more of like an adventure, and it's neat to learn. You can do this, but you got to do it in a different way, and it works. And you know, so it's a learning process, and to me that's interesting and pretty cool. And but I'm sure it's funny as shit for other people to watch the gimp fucking setting up his car and shit. Or gimping into the gas station. What a dick. Is that guy fucking drunk or what? No, it's just the way I am. Sorry. But that's an explanation about me and my life.